How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. So you said we're going to talk about Google Bandaids.
Yeah, back to some
Uh,
conspiracy.
oh yes,
What?
yeah. Sorry. Welcome to SEO Conspiracy, guy.
That's my phrase.
sorry. I've just reversed it all for you. Anyway, carry on.
No. Yeah, what I call Google Bandaids are all those rel, nofollow, next prev, next canonical. Google
There's a
trying to
lot of
fix the
them.
web.
Yeah. So Google made some howlers along the way, didn't they? And I rel equals no follow. I'm really surprised that they, instead of abandoning rel equals no follow altogether, they then started introducing this user-generated rel equals UGC and rel equals paid or promo or whatever it is. So they've introduced, for anyone that doesn't know, these other parameters apart from no follow onto links, which are all and they have at least finally said that they're going to take no follow as an indicator, not as a given, and of course they had to. I always thought what was really interesting with the idea of rel equals no follow, the idea originally was, of course, to try and stop people from allowing people to put a link on a page, but saying it's not one that we necessarily you shouldn't pass PageRank through, which human beings don't think like that when they're writing content, do they? So the very first thing that WordPress did is they made all of the comment links no follow. Well, that's fine. But if I put up a blog post about how hot the sun is, and then Brian Cox, the leading authority on astrophysics or whatever in the UK, then comes in the comment and says, I think you're wrong. If you go to this page, it'll show you exactly what's happening. That's a much more important authoritative person than
Hello.
Hey, really, come in and say, you're on camera now. Sorry about that.
Bonjour.
Videos, so we can start again if you like. Okay. I tell you what, we probably better should. We'll start again. Is that all right, Laurent?
I can blur.
All right. Okay. Fine. Anyway, I now have coffee. But yeah, so I think that it was a stupid idea, and it's an extra band-aid to have these extra parameters on there, because real human beings that put real links up don't put any of that crap up. They just want to show a human being at the other end. So the only people that are using these things are content management systems that are trying to stop themselves getting into trouble, newspapers, and anybody that thinks that they might be getting. So all the really interesting, important stuff is getting no followed or UGC'd. So it's a stupid band-aid. Canonical, not such a stupid band-aid. I think that was a problem that wasn't created by Google. I think the fact that we all started with websites saying www.yoursite.com, and then some people did and some people didn't. I think canonical was a much more sensible, a better band-aid than rel equals no follow.
But it's a dangerous band-aid because you can really self-destruct your website by not using canonical right.
Yeah, and hreflang as well.
All those and the rel nofollow, which I call the condom of the web, is a big
the condom of the web.
Well,
that's your tweet, folks. The condom of the web.
And that's going to be one of the quotes from the video, I guess. The rel nofollow is the condom of the web. The basic problem is that Google is lying to you. What happened is I made a test at the beginning and I proved that it was not respecting nofollow. It was going over it. Then, a couple of years later, I did a test again. And a very rigorous test, right? Not just a little it was stopping a nofollow. And now again, it's going over the nofollow. So What is it doing with it? If it's not paging PageRank, well, it's not gonna. Google wants to see everything. I mean, Google's, what is it doing with it? up to you to figure it out. Now, what's I think very bad is, let's take the example of the rel prev next. They put out the rel prev next. People put it in place, and it was just some random tweet from some Googler saying, "Oh, by the way, we never were able to figure it out. We never used it."
Never used it. Yeah.
What the hell? Like, come on. How can you do that?
That one's an interesting one, but I think it's kind of interesting. It shows you that, they've got lots of little working units trying to figure out stuff. Their engineers are sitting there trying to make a little bit of a little part of their world better. And just because they've created the ability to do something doesn't mean to say that they then use it in another part of the system. So just because they've given the spec for prev and next.
French guy with my broken English is breaking your English.
So just because they've given you the ability to do it, it doesn't mean to say that they're necessarily going to use it in the algorithm in any way, shape, or form. But I can see how people fell into that trap and thought that it was an important idea. I also think that it's a pity they didn't, because I like the idea that content isn't just one page. If you've got a chapter of a book, then the the next thing, when I've written on inlinks.net, I've got on the blog a semantic search guide, which is many pages, and it links them all together because I want it to maybe turn it into a book one day, and I want to have some kind of structure to it to start with. I also don't want to have it all as one long big article, because it's too much for a human to take in at one time, and because I want those pages to rank for what those specific articles are about. So of course I've got this continuity, but I feel sad that Google dropped the prev next idea, because it ties ideas together. And you talk about the idea of this is related to that, and Google's all about object A is related to object B, and the prev and next ones should have been able to connect those ideas really effectively. It would have been a good Band-Aid if Google had used it.
Again, just a guy, in my opinion, try to work without these Band-Aids. There's a way. If you can't figure it out, yes. But if you take all those Band-Aids one by one, there is a way to do it without. Canonical, everything, hreflang. Sometimes, it's useful, and it's the easiest way to do it. But I think the web, if we gotta give credit to Google, websites are a lot better than when we started, and Google has a big part to play in that. So on one hand, I hate the way they put out certain of those Band-Aids. relnofollow I really hate that one.
Rel equals author is another one.
Yeah. And you can do your own. You can do rel equals Dixon Jones.
You
can
make your own. Yeah, it's true.
But try to avoid, because you don't know what the future is made of, and at least it's safe proof if you can figure out, and there is a way to les règles de l'art, doing things by the book without any Band-Aids. They exist. We've done it before. We've done it before the Band-Aids existed.
So are you advising that you don't use rel equals nofollow at all, or any other kind of UGC, or just trying to avoid all of them? I can't believe that you want to get rid of that you want to try and work around the canonical stuff, but maybe you do, because what you really want is 301 everything, so you've only got one version. But I think you still you should still use a canonical in the code, so that if somebody ever tries to, for example, scrape your content and put it on their site, then at least there's a canonical to the original stuff.
I'm going to give you a very specific example. Magento. I think they fixed it. But, and that's a topic I need to write down. The trend of not putting an extension, not a slash or not a dot something at the end of the URL. That's a interesting topic. But Magento, you got the URL slash and not slash, right? A canonical pointing to the version with the slash, and a canonical pointing to the version without the slash. That's one of the best way to auto-destruct yourself. That's one of, and again, of course, it's good. It's one of the very good Bandaids, but there is a way to work without. And if you do it wrong, it could really again, most of the negative SEO is you doing it wrong.
So I'm not a Magento fan, but WordPress, of course, have fixed that, and basically whichever version you put, it'll 301 to one specific version each time now. But you still need the canonical really, because the ad guys, the PPC parts of this world, they're adding all these these tracking URLs, parameters to the end of URLs, left, right, and center. And that's another really easy way to get yourself loads and loads of duplicate content. And okay, Google will understand if it's a UTM parameter because it knows what that is. But so many other parameters or other tracking systems, affiliate tracking systems, and or things that are trying to change the size of the picture when it loads, or other things. Those parameters effectively are changing the content on the web page a little bit, but not enough for you to want both versions indexed separately within Google. So you still need a canonical. I think that's an important Band-Aid.
It's important because duplicate content is probably the number one. Don't believe that shady links is the key to negative SEO. Like duplicate content is way worse than the shady links.
And cannibalizing. Yeah, absolutely. And you just don't see it because Google knows it's more or less the same, and one of them's in the supplemental miles down there, but it's still there. Yeah, they've
going back to our video about logs, and that's why you really need to monitor what's going on, because question mark and whatever goes next is evil. That's why, and again, you mentioned it, a lot of those tracking guys, a lot of need that question mark and whatever comes next. But on websites that don't need this type of tracking, you can try to put a question mark. It's not going to work. It goes to a 410 or 301 or whatever you want. But you can't, on my websites, you can't put a question mark at the end of a URL and trying to get to create another one. Again, be careful. It's going to mess up with some of the tracking. Next tip is the dash, right? In English? Dash. No. What is it called? The / hyphen or underscore? No. The dash. The cross, like the
plus. The plus sign.
No. This okay. This sign up. Hold on. This sign here.
Yeah, plus symbol.
No, not the plus.
I can't read that. What's it? Exclamation. Hang on. Oh, the hash. Hash. Or Americans call it the pound sign. Yeah, but it's
pound.
A hash sign.
Yeah. Pound sign. That's what I'm U.S. English.
Okay. Well, that's an American thing.
The pound sign. That's another way, because behind the pound sign, that's a stop signal for the bot. Whatever comes next.
Yeah.
It doesn't go beyond.
And that made a huge problem with Ajax, didn't it? Because they were using the hash symbol as and delivering completely different content. But yeah, absolutely, that is a dead stop. And so anything that comes after a hash should be absolutely ignored by any web crawler. Interestingly, you can then use that for very interesting tracking if you wanted to, because it gives a parameter that's not going to be affected by the crawler.
So once again, if you change your question mark by a pound sign or a hash sign, it could be good, but it could be very bad if you got a lot of tracking and those guys use the question mark.
What will make that really bad? I mean, because every link from Facebook, if you, I mean, of course, Google's not in Facebook supposedly, but anyway, any link from Facebook to your website. So if somebody then says, "Oh, go to this page," and you put it in Facebook, that'll add an FBLID, a Facebook tracking ID onto the link. So if you've got a hash in the URL, then it's all going to fall apart, really. I would imagine, because you're then trying to put a parameter after a hash,
True.
Which is probably a very bad thing to do.
Well, one way or another, it's definitely to end it up on this Band-Aid thing. There's a balance here. There's a good way. I mean, it's a good intent. I think some of, especially the relnofollow, kind of blew up in their face, and like you said, I'm very surprised that because they shot themselves in the foot with it. Their business is about crawling links and about PageRank and all that stuff, but I don't know. We're definitely in an area where sometimes we have a more definite answer about this is a myth, this is wrong. There, it's more about a balance of advantages and disadvantages, and
I'd agree with that.
not a clear-cut answer. No. Sorry, guys.
Some Band-Aids are working quite well. Others probably should never have come out of the discussion chamber. So what are we talking about next week?
We're gonna talk about the official myth by Google than those 200 signals in the algorithm. Are there only 200 lines of 200 parameters in the algorithm?
And can we name all 200 in the 15 minutes?
Yes, and can we reverse engineer all of them and all those SEO studies who list the 200 parameters? Are they right or wrong?
Yeah. Okay.
Until next time, stay safe. Thank you.
You too. Bye.